All right, I think I got Elaine that said hello. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, great. Thank you. I appreciate the confirmation. Good afternoon. I'm Bashira, one of the registered dietitians with the Weight Management Center, and I thank all of you for joining this afternoon. Just want to remind you to stay on at the end. You'll get a link to complete a short survey so we can take your attendance. So just don't forget to do that at the end. If you want to download today's presentation, you can do so. It should be, the file should be in the classroom and you can just download. All right, so we'll get started. Today's topic is on low carb recipe swaps or carb swapping. And we're doing a demo on Thursday. If any of you are available, Thursday at 5:30 in the diabetes classroom. So if any of you are available, please come join us. I'll be demoing 2 different recipes. So please come out if you're available. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to just cover is why does it make sense to swap carbohydrate? Why is it something that we recommend for all of you? Most of you are have been prescribed higher protein, lower carbohydrate meal plans. And very intentionally, we've prescribed those meal plans for you because although we need carbohydrates in our diet, the American diet, we tend to eat carbohydrates that are very simple in nature, that are digested very quickly. They raise our insulin and our blood sugar levels very quickly, and we digest them very quickly, and then it leaves us hungry an hour later. So one of the reasons why we recommend you consuming higher protein is because protein, that macronutrient, is very satiating. It creates this cascade of hormones in your gut that then signal to your brain that you're full. So you're able to eat less, but have a very satiating feeling when you're consuming higher protein, lower carb. And the carbohydrates that we want you to consume are mostly in the form of vegetables. So the low carb swaps that we're going to talk about today are mostly in the form of replacing higher carbohydrate, more simple carbohydrate, refined carbohydrate with vegetables, or your non-starchy vegetables, which are lower in calories but very high in nutrients. So they give you a good bang for your buck because they're so high in vitamins and minerals, but so low in calories and high in fiber, which the fiber content of your non-starchy vegetables also helps to keep you fuller longer because it slows the emptying from your stomach. So your digestion is slowed, you've got more contents in your stomach, so you feel fuller longer, even though you've only eaten very few calories by eating non-starchy vegetables. So, kind of giving you that intro, I'll dive into the presentation. Feel free to stop me along the way if you have questions about anything or have anything to input. So the first kind of area of food where most people are a little frustrated when it comes to trying to eat higher protein, lower carb is probably in the pasta, lasagna, noodle area. So some fun things that you could do to go lower carb are spiralized zucchini. Any of you have a spiralizer? If you don't, you can get one for really inexpensive cost to get a spiralizer for around $10. You can get them at Target or at Bed Bath & Beyond. I have a whole contraption spiralizer. It's called a ProMaster, and it's got lots of different blades to do different shapes. But you don't really need all of that. You could just get an inexpensive one to start off with for $10. One of the best tools that you can have in your kitchen. So you could do spiralized zucchini to replace pasta noodles, but really you can spiralize just about any vegetable. You can spiralize cucumbers, you can spiralize carrots, so you can pretty much spiralize anything. Um, Another good replacement for pasta, somewhat different, but also lower carb, are shirataki noodles. Shirataki is a Japanese noodle made from mushrooms, and it's really low carb. It does have more of a pungent taste. So I would use shirataki noodles if I was trying to replicate something that was like a Thai dish or a Chinese or a Japanese dish. And then lastly, if you want to try to replicate lasagna and do that lower carb, zucchini also is a good fill-in where if you just take a vegetable peeler and thin shave the zucchini, you can create flat lasagna noodles out of the zucchini. So in the handout, you'll see a couple of recipes that you can try. But honestly, if you just Google spiralized zucchini or zucchini lasagna, you'll come up with a lot of different hits for recipes that you can try. Skinnytaste.com definitely has a lot of different recipes. Very, very easy, very simple to make, and spiralizing the zucchini does not take very long at all, neither does creating the noodles, the lasagna noodles. Whole Foods now also sells spiralized zucchinis already spiralized. So if you want to spend some extra money and don't want to spiralize yourself, you can buy them already spiralized as well. I see Paula typing in a question, so I'll wait until you're done before I move on to the next thing. Lowe's Foods also has spiralized veggies. Awesome, thank you. Oh, spiralized beets. Oh, that's a good one. At Fresh Market. Thanks for that, Paula. All right, so we'll move on to kind of the next area where I see patients kind of have some frustration with their food choices, and that's potatoes or French fries. So we love potatoes here in America. And I'm not saying don't have potatoes, but when you think about really getting the biggest bang for your buck with lower calories, um, you can go lower carb instead of having potatoes. So you could, one recipe that I love is creating cauliflower mash mock potatoes. And it's pretty simple. All you're really going to do is to, you can do a couple of different things. You can either steam the cauliflower or you can roast the cauliflower. You just need to soften it up. You can combine whatever you want with the cauliflower, whether that's garlic or chives, any seasonings that you want to do. I like to take an immersion blender to blend up the cauliflower along with some of the cooking water that you use to soften the cauliflower. And then you can use a blender, like a high powered blender, and you're just grinding the cauliflower to more of like a mash consistency. If you wanted to add in a little bit of extra virgin olive oil into that, or some low fat sour cream to give it a little bit of creamy texture. And then again, you spice it, season it however you season your mashed potatoes, and it really comes out nicely and creamy. So I've given you guys a recipe for that. There's another good recipe on thekitchen.com. It's a website of food bloggers. All they do is sit around and talk about the best way to create different recipes. So highly recommend checking out The Kitchen. It's TheKitchen. It might be 2 N's on the end. So for fries, some of my favorite fries, I've given you a recipe for zucchini fries, but rutabaga fries are definitely my favorite way to make kind of a lower carb French fry. And you can take just a couple of small rutabagas, peel them, cut them down into kind of like matchstick size. You want to go fairly thin with your mock fries. Cut them down fairly thin, combine them with some extra virgin olive oil, and you're going to just bake them or roast them on 400 for about 20 minutes. And they cook pretty quickly, and you just want to shake the pan throughout the cooking to make sure they're browning on all sides. Season it with whatever you want, some rosemary, some thyme, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, however you regularly season your French fries. So I'm gonna be demonstrating the rutabaga fries in the cooking demo if any of you are available to make it. Anybody else have any other low carb potato recipes that they like? All right, so we'll move on to the next area of foods that people often struggle with trying to eat lower carb, and that's rice. So if you have the caloric intake range that you can include a complex carb, then include brown rice. But if not, if say you're on a 1100, 1200 calorie meal plan, then incorporating something like cauliflower rice is a really good option because you can get a lot of volume of rice at a very low calorie with a lot of other vitamins and minerals or other nutrients. So one of my favorite time-saving tips is don't spend time grating your own cauliflower. You can buy riced cauliflower from Trader Joe's, from Walmart now. You can even get it frozen. Green Giant has their own frozen form or brand of riced cauliflower. So there are lots of places where you can just get already broken down for you grated rice cauliflower. And there are a couple of different ways that you can make the cauliflower rice. You could either saute it in a pan, and I'll be demoing some cauliflower fried rice with eggs and other vegetables, kind of like a takeout on Chinese takeout type style. I'm going to be demoing that at the demo on Thursday. Other ways that you could make it are by just roasting it in the oven. Just spray it with a little bit of olive oil spray and put it in the oven on 425 for about 20 minutes. That probably gives it a good kind of hearty crunch versus if you sauteed it. But both ways work really well. You can also create rice with some shirataki rice. So similar to the shirataki noodles, there's a rice form. And again, shirataki has a little bit of a kind of earthy flavor. So I would just use that in place of if I'm doing like a teriyaki bowl or I'm doing like an Asian style dish. Anybody experimented with cauliflower rice or riced cauliflower and have a favorite recipe that they like? Kristen says, yes, love it. I do too, Kristen. Agreed. And she made fried rice. Great. It's really simple to make. It really, all you need to do is to cook the cauliflower on a medium-high heat for like 5 minutes. You just want to kind of brown it on the outside to make sure that it gets brown and get a little bit of crispiness, and you're just kind of softening it up that way. So you're just literally just kind of in a wok or a medium saucepan, browning up the cauliflower on a medium-high heat for about 5 minutes. Really simple, easy. Oh, Kristen, eggs, green onions, there cauliflower rice, carrot, celery, and low sodium soy sauce. Exactly what I'll be demonstrating, Kristen. Cauliflower rice pizza. Yes, we're going to get to pizza in a second here, Melissa. But yes, excellent choice and use of cauliflower is with a pizza crust. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to move on to the next area where people struggle to try to go lower carb, and that's with bread. So again, if you have the calorie range to incorporate some whole grains, then totally fine. But if you want to try to go save some calories, lettuce wraps are a great way to replicate kind of that feeling of a sandwich, but with fewer calories. So you could use some romaine lettuce to kind of create like a boat. Or if you have any leafy green, I like to do it with collard greens because they are usually a pretty big fat surface to work with. I like to wrap things in collard greens to create a wrap. Really simple. You just want to blanch the collards for 2 minutes and then lay them out on like some paper towels just to get some of the moisture out. And then you just wrap everything that you want. Overlapping 2 collard greens, you just wrap everything in them. Really simple and easy to make if you have some leftover chicken or some low sodium turkey, deli meat, some cheese. I like to put a little bit of peanut sauce in there or some natural peanut butter, kind of make like an Asian flavor, but really, really easy to make all different types of flavor combinations. And I included in the last page of this handout some suggestions on some combinations that you could create with some wraps. And then also you could make with cauliflower a cauliflower tortilla. It's pretty simple. You're just combining the cauliflower with some egg and cheese and kind of forming it into a tortilla and baking it. So a couple different options for you on breads, wraps, tortillas to go lower carb. And Melissa is typing in a question. All right, so we'll go on to pancakes while Melissa's typing. So kind of our baked goods. Do you always squeeze the water out of the cauliflower to get the consistency right? Typically, yes. So if I am doing pretty much most of your recipes, except for like the fried cauliflower. With the fried cauliflower, you don't need to squeeze out any of the moisture. If you're doing a pizza crust and it's just solely cauliflower, or if you're doing, I also do some kind of cauliflower biscuits or cauliflower bites. You'll want to kind of drain the water and squeeze some of that moisture out. Does that answer your question, Melissa? All right, perfect. All right, so the next area is kind of our baked goods. So I definitely understand missing some baked goods when you're trying to go lower carbs, so things like pancakes and muffins. So a couple of good substitutes for those baked goods are almond flour, especially in muffins. So a little bit of almond flour, and almond flour is more, it holds more moisture. So if you're trying to replace almond flour with like a traditional baked good recipe, you probably want to cut it and go like 3/4 of the almond flour to replicate what you would use in a regular flour, because it does hold more moisture. So you can make pancakes with almond flour. You could make pancakes with coconut flour. Oh, and I see I have attached recipe. That's a recipe we actually have here in the clinic. So I will get your emails and email out that recipe to you guys so you have it. You could also use oats to make pancakes. A little bit of oat flour, some coconut flour, and Greek yogurt makes a really delicious pancake. And there's a recipe for you guys for that for you guys. Muffins too. So one of my favorite muffin recipes, which I can email to you guys, is oat flour, some nut butter or pumpkin, and Greek yogurt and blueberries. And you just put everything in the blender except for the blueberries, and then pour it into a muffin tin. And they bake up really nice. You get a really creamy consistency with the nut butter, and you don't need any extra oil with it. So I'll definitely get that out to you guys. All right, so on to pizza, one of my favorite foods. Cauliflower definitely is, I think Melissa mentioned earlier, makes a great pizza crust. It doesn't crisp up as well as if you were doing a traditional pizza crust. So one of the ways that I like to make the cauliflower crust is to combine it with chickpeas. And I'll get that recipe to you guys, but it's basically a cup of cauliflower, a cup of chickpeas, an egg, a little bit of mozzarella cheese, and you just combine all of that together. And then I like to like make mini pizzas out of those. So I'll make 4 to 5 mini pizzas out of those. You could also use chicken. So you could take already cooked chicken, make a pizza. So it's the crust is made out of cooked chicken instead of out of a grain, and that actually comes out pretty crispy and delicious. I demoed that last year in one of our cooking demos, and I'll get you guys that recipe because we have it here in the clinic. And then lastly, you could do a flax crust. So this one's going to be a little bit higher in fat, but also lower in protein. So with the flax crust, you just want to watch your toppings. So I would go a little bit leaner protein on a flax crust with like some chicken breast and some veggies versus doing something a little higher in protein. Like I wouldn't do a flax crust and then ground beef possibly, unless you chose like a 97% lean ground beef. Anybody else have any fun lower carb pizza recipes that they enjoy? All right. So we'll go on to this last page here, which is just kind of a fun mix and match that I highly recommend you guys try. Because I think the kind of issue that most people fall into is kind of a rut with their meal plan. You kind of get used to doing the same thing over and over, and we feel like we're missing out on some flavor a lot of times. So highly recommend that you take some time, carve out some time one weekend or one day during the week, and try to play around with some different flavors, create some different green wraps. One of my favorites is kind of an Asian inspired flavor with some peanut sauce or peanut satay, and you can get a jar of peanut satay at Trader Joe's for really cheap. Anyone experimented with creating your own green wraps with either cabbage or collard greens or kale? So really all you want to do is just, if you're making these, you want to just take out that center rib of the green. So you just take a paring knife, cut out that center. If it's collards, like I said, I like to blanch them. Collards can be a little tough. So blanch them for like a minute or two and then cool them down and get out all the moisture before you wrap. The other greens you really don't need to do a whole lot except for just cutting out the ribs. So kale you could definitely do without blanching it first. Lettuce, obviously you don't need to blanch. Cabbage you might want to blanch for a minute or so. Just submerging it into some hot water. Anyone have any questions or other things that they like to experiment with for lower carb? Oh, you know what I forgot? Chips. And I just didn't get a chance to do another slide for you guys. So lower carb substitutes for chips. Kale chips are my absolute favorite. You can buy kale chips now. They're pretty readily available. If any of you are here in clinic, I do have coupons for Rhythm Foods. They make a brand of kale chips, and we can put that. I can get that coupon to you guys. There are some kale chips at Walmart, actually. The one on Haynes Mall Boulevard. In there, like near the produce section, there's a little rotunda of different chips and beans and nuts. Those are pretty good. I've had those. Trader Joe's has some kale chips that are pretty good. So you can buy them readily available, or you can make your own. Really easy by just tearing off leaves of the kale, mixing it with some olive oil, salt, pepper. I like to do a little bit of tahini, lemon, and some nutritional yeast to kind of give it a cheesy flavor. And you just roast them on 350 for about 20 minutes. Pretty easy to make kale chips. You could also make beet chips, zucchini chips, or carrot chips. All pretty simple and easy to make. So I will try to get another slide made of some chip recipes for you guys as well. Likely not going to happen until Friday, but I'll definitely try to get that done. Susan had a question about iceberg lettuce and why is that not on the list. You could definitely do iceberg lettuce. It's just a little harder to wrap. So I would use iceberg lettuce probably for more like a boat versus trying to wrap with it. Although I have seen some wraps where they just take a lot of iceberg lettuce and they keep wrapping around the meat. But it is a little bit harder to wrap versus some of your other leafy greens. But certainly not a problem to use it. So feel free. Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions? Or anyone have any other suggestions of things that they do that are lower carb? All right. I don't see anyone typing in. So we'll keep it short and sweet. I hope you guys found this informative and gave you some ideas. And I highly encourage you to just on the day where you have a little bit of free time to experiment. I'll definitely send you all the recipes that are listed on this handout, so you have those as well. And then if any of you are in clinic and you're interested in coupons for Rhythm Foods for some kale chips or some beet chips, let us know and we'll get you those coupons. I've seen Rhythm Foods at Whole Foods and at Vitamin Shop. Not sure if they're at Publix or at Lowe's, but they might be. You can definitely search their website to see all of their the locations, the grocery stores. Oh, I will get your email, Melissa. I will get your email from. Don't forget, I want you to hang on. I'm going to end the meeting, and you all will be directed to a survey so that we can count your attendance. So just make sure that you fill out that survey, and I will get your emails that way. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to end the call. Thank you guys for participating today. And again, if you can come to the cooking demo on Thursday, it's going to be a really fun time. I will try to see if we can get it videotaped. Not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that. But I'll try to see if we can tape it. I know everyone's schedules are crazy. So I'll try to see if we can tape it. If not, the cooking demos, we're doing them once a quarter. They're generally the same time as our normal essentials group on Thursday. So hopefully you can attend one over the next couple of months. The next one will likely be in June, towards the middle of June. So I'll keep you guys posted. All right, definitely, Melissa. I will let you know if we're able to get it taped, and you guys be on the lookout for the recipes coming your way soon. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful week.